We don't need another Beyonce. We don't need another Cardi B. We don't need another Kendrick Lamar. These people are the originals. Be who you are.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Today, we are sitting down with a true icon, someone who has not only shaped the careers of some of the biggest names in music, fashion, and entertainment, but has also built a legacy rooted in resilience, authenticity, and advocacy. Today's guest is the legendary Angelo Ellerbe, a visionary publicist, image architect, and author whose decades-long career has placed him at the heart of culture, shaping the public narratives of legends like Dionne Warwick, Grace Jones, Michael Jackson, Alicia Keys, Nina Simone, and DMX, just to name a few. But beyond his extraordinary career, Angelo is also a master of reinvention, a believer in the power of self-worth, and a champion for the brokenhearted. His latest book, Before I Let You Go, is a deeply personal testament to overcoming adversity and finding purpose, even in the darkest moments. Angelo is a man who starts his days in stillness with prayer and meditation, grounding himself before stepping into the demands of an ever-evolving industry. He carries the wisdom of his mother, Eva, from handling crisis management for Michael Jackson to advocating for HIV/AIDS victims to mentoring the next generation of artists. Mr. Ellerbe is more than just a publicist. He is a cultural custodian and a healer in his own right. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of his journey. We'll talk about legacy, resilience, and what it truly means to stand in your power and shape your own narrative.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. I am learning things about you and have learned things about you in preparation for this conversation. I feel honored to be sitting here speaking with you, not because of the incredible names that you've worked with, but because of the authenticity that I can see in the man behind the work and your professional accomplishments. So thank you so much for taking time to come and chat with me today.
Again, thank you.
And let's get into it.
I'm open.
So, based on some research and kind of seeing what you've done and how you've done it, my question is, what do you hope people take away from your impact on the industry and on the world?
I first thought about this book when we were going through, I call it a crisis of our next president. I thought very much that our guide was going to give us our direction for the next 4 or 5 years. And I just think that people are forsaken and forgotten. While I use my celebrityhood with the clients that I have, this book is not about celebrities. It's about the layperson. It's about the homeless and shut out. It's about the drug addict. It's about the domestic violence person. Well, I use these names only to entice and to bring people in to purchase the book. But I just believe that God has given me so many chances in life, and so many of us chances of life. But we shut the door to these people. I wanted to open the door. I wanted to use all the things that I did for the Mary J. Bliges and the Dionne Warwicks and the Michael Jackson to that layperson. I wanted them to feel loved. I tell people every day that I'm romantically in love with Angelo Ellerbe. And because I love me, I want other people to love themselves and to grow to understand and respect that four-letter word, love. It means a lot. As a child, my mom, from age 5 to 15, used to knock on my door every morning. And she would say to me, I was my last born. Did I tell you that I love you today? And I said, Mom, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. No, you didn't tell me that you love me, but I know that you do. But what she gave to me was so authentic, and it gave me passion.
Mm.
It gave me motivation to want to be something. My mother always told me that I was going to be great. But she said, I'm not going to settle for great. I want you to be greater. But at the end of the day, I want you to be the greatest at what you wanted to do, what you want to do in life. And I want you to be a contributor. I don't want you just to lay back. I want you to lead. I did not birth someone that was going to follow. I birthed a leader. And I want you to walk in the path of leadership. And I want you to lead people and tell people the greatness of God. And so this book is written so that that we would give everybody a chance. It should be no judgment. It should be no separations. It should be no prejudice. It should be unity. I always said the old slogan went, it takes a village to raise a child. Then I asked the question, so what does it take to raise a culture? What does it take to raise a community? It takes togetherness, cohesiveness. It takes love, dedication for us to come together, particularly in this time, in this crisis. And I do look at where we're at in this particular time of the exchange of presidents, that we're in a crisis, particularly people, Black and brown people, I believe. And I believe that only way that we're going to come together and be together, that we are one. Many years ago, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke very much about unity and what Black folk, brown folk needed to do. They needed to secure their surroundings. He spoke about ownership, having your own butter, your own eggs, your own milk, your own cleaners, your own stores. I don't know. I think we were whitewashed with the fact of people saying that he was a racist. He wasn't a racist. What he was a contributor to a culture, wanting the best for the culture. So this book is, it could be about the industry, but it's not. The book is really about that layperson that we will not just give a chance. And I just believe that God has given us all so many chances. We have not the right to be judge or jury. And so the book had been created.
My hat's off. And loving thoughts in the direction of your mom, because what you just described is what happens when you have an intentional practice of love and encouragement toward your child. When you use words to heal and lift up, and when you extend behaviors that help a person to know that they are loved. I think everyone deserves that. And we as people of color need that.
Yes.
Even more so. Because we don't
Yes.
get it everywhere. So we have to give it to each other. And I think it's important that we give it to each other out as we are in the world, and that we all give it to each other, people who are of color and people who are not of color. But even more importantly, that we give it to our children, because they need that armor. They need the armor of love. They need the armor of safety. And they absolutely need the armor of self-confidence.
Very true.
So thank you to your mother for doing that.
A blessing. She was such a blessing to me. And I think with these young mothers today who don't have a history or don't have a legacy, we need to reach back to our ancestors. And we have to remember how we were raised back then. Our children need to be loved, and not just assume the word love. We have to verbally express to them, do you know that I love you and I want the best for you? That's an encouragement. That's something that, oh, this is my mom. And particularly when you talk about single mothers or single fathers that are raising their children, they need to hear it, not because you put a roof over their head, not because you feed them and put clothes on them, but they need to know and they need to hear and they need to feel the vibrations of that word love. It means the world. If I can love me, I can turn around and love you, and you can turn around and love someone else. We have to be very, very careful. After we raise our children, we want to make sure that they're educated, they're grounded, because then you got the streets, and the streets will raise them a way that you don't want them to be raised. So you have to have a bond with your children to understand the difference in right and wrong. And I think that love, that four-letter word, is essential each and every day of everyone's life, is to give of it. Even the hard-headed kids, the
Yeah.
one that you don't want to be bothered with, those are the ones that you got to say, you know what, man, yo, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you are bright, brilliant, but why are you doing that? And bring them close to you.
Yeah.
And that's not just for the male, that's for the female too. Because look, the truth is not on strike. The truth is what it is.
Yeah.
Our young people need to be loved, cared for, watched over, taught, educated, stimulated, motivated. This is what they need every day of their lives. So when they get to 17 and 18 years old, they got it. You got to start raising your child from infancy.
That's right. That's right.
Put the toys away and put the computer in front of them. Pull a book from the library, read to them when they're 5 and they're 6 and they're 7 years old. I don't know what the statistics is in terms of Black and brown families with young kids. The reading measures of it all. People can take all the tangible things they want to take from you, but they can't take what's inside of here. So you have to begin to feed them most important information that's going to keep them motivated and keep them determined. So yes, I do believe very, very much into loving yourself. Important to me.
You talked about the streets will raise you, and I think that sometimes we believe that if we move further away from, air quotes, the streets, that somehow or another children are saved. But the streets is anything outside of home.
Yes.
And sometimes, you're in corporate America, you're in the streets. You're walking down the street, you're in the streets. You're in relationship with people that you encounter in your life, and you are in the streets. I wanted to ask you about, and it's interesting because over the course of these 2 days, I've had 5 interviews scheduled. And this topic of self-love and of the relationship that we are in with ourselves has come up during every conversation that I've had. And so I know that, and I deeply believe in the importance of having a quality relationship with yourself, because it's on the basis of that relationship that all of your other relationships are reflected. And you, right out of the gate, started talking about self-love and the relationship you're in with yourself. And for the person who maybe doesn't understand what that means, or who may see that as kind of like a woo-woo kind of thing that's out there, will you help that person to understand what that actually looks like, means, and feels like?
I think it's so important that we all, elders, must do our job with our young people. We must begin to explain to them the importance of love and what it means. We shy away from wanting to talk to our young kids, and we can't do that. We can't let them go in the streets and get blinded and get run over by life. But when you sit back and you talk to them and you tell them how much and what love really means. And we all have our own definitions of what love means. For me, love means God, means religion. It means freedom. It means being carefree. It means loving someone else, breaking it down to a clear science that love is everything. We can do nothing without love.
No good thing without love.
Yes, about love.
Yeah.
Because the bad things won't show up if you know all the good things. It's like knowing the difference in right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see the domestic violence, and the domestic violence doesn't just come from the man's point of view, it comes from the woman's point of view too. And we have to begin to sit down and communicate. We must put these silly things that I have in my hand, which is a phone, away and stop texting. If there's a problem in the house, sketch out the time that you want to sit back with your partner and with your children and talk about it. If you got a problem in school or on the job, delivery, it's not what you say, it's how you say. And delivery is everything, how you go to deliver. You don't have to go around hating, disliking, being uncomfortable when you can have a conversation. And also you can apologize for the error that you have made and ask someone to forgive you. And you got to be a forgiving soul. If you look, I used to hand out imaginary maturity pills in a big glass of water, and I used to give it to my clients. I said, "There's like, Angela, what are you doing?" I said, "It's an imaginary maturity pill. And you see that water over there? Swallow the pill and swallow the water and grow up."
I may borrow that.
Grow up. And it's not always your way. It's a compromise both ways.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important. I think those are the missing links in our lives, in our pattern of doing things, that we want to be right. We're right and we're wrong. And then there's always the middle.
What are your daily practices for someone who may not know how to start the journey toward loving themselves? What do you do?
I have, for the past 15 years of my life, got very close to religion. And I listen a lot to gospel music. I pray for 45 minutes each and every single day. And I start my prayers off thanking him, surrendering to him, thanking him for the roof over my head, the clothes on my back, the shoes on my feet, and the food in my stomach, for paying phone bills and gas bills and taxes and rent and all the other things. Then I go down a list that I know that people are troubled, either on drugs, can't find a job, finding out they have cancer, finding out they're HIV. And I pray for them that they will come closer to God, that they will follow the journey of life with him and just simply say, thank you. And after I finish praying for the 45 minutes, I have to go into the living room and I exercise for 45 minutes. I need to have a clear way of thinking. I need to be equipped. I need to be right. I need to look right and be right, because that's what I'm selling and that's what I'm giving away. And if I am not in the good state of mind in terms of look and appearance and good conversation, then what am I doing? And I ask, you don't have to take my route of life, everyday life. You can adapt it. You can take some things away, but I think you need to take time out for yourself. And, good yoga practice is wonderful. Sometimes you can just sit there and just think about. Sometimes I sit in the kitchen and I'll take a tablet and I'll just write down all the things that I want to do for the day, how I want to do it, whose letters do I have to write, who do I have to call back. So my mind is organized to get done what needs to get done for that day. So I would think that anyone that don't know how to get in touch, those would be some of the things that I start out with.
And I like that you mentioned that it really is a very unique thing to each person. You have to find, that's part of the relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Just as you would with a partner or with a friend.
Yes.
You have to take the time to learn what works for you, to learn how this vessel operates and what it needs.
Exactly. So when you start talking about marriages, the success of the marriage is communications. Some of us, we get to be 15, 20, 30, 40 years of marriage. And we ask the question, why? Somebody is communicating. If there's a disagreement, we have to communicate, resolve the matter. Don't walk around, look, I'm getting too old. I can't hate nobody. I don't even remember why I disliked you. So I need to be forgiven.
I hear you.
It ain't that deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how I look at things. Is it really that deep? It's not that deep.
Right.
And
right.
so if you're looking for an apology, please allow me to apologize.
Right.
Because life is not a given. It's a gift. It depends on you how you go to unwrap your gift. You can tear it open and have no substance in that. Or you can take your time in opening up the gift of life and remembering the importance of saying thank you.
Yeah.
I say thank you, thank you, thank you each and every single day. Life is really, it's no expiration to life. We all know that there is only he knows what that expertise. So go live life. And particularly I speak to the senior citizens who are sitting back and they're suffering. They're sitting in wheelchairs, sitting in on their crutches, looking out the window, don't want to do anything. And I say, draw your strength from the man upstairs. Get out of that window. Go in and get involved with yourself. Go and join some social clubs. Go and enjoy life. You don't have to sit back and wait for your turn to be transitioned. Go and live. As long as you can live and enjoy. It's even when you find out that you're sick. It doesn't stop life. You go for the treatments and you stay positive. The same energy that it takes for you to stay negative, it's the same energy to stay positive.
Do you know that we have a line of Shaping Freedom wellness products? Each are beautifully crafted and designed to support you in cherishing your mind, body, emotions, and soul. Carve out a sanctuary in your life with our Luxe sustainable yoga and meditation mats, essential oil candles, and more. Embrace self-care and reflection with every item, lovingly created to enhance your daily practice of spending time on you. Elevate your wellness journey with Shaping Sanctuary Collection because you deserve to feel balanced, nurtured, and inspired. Visit shapingsanctuary.com for more information.
And at the end of the day, it's about staying in the race. If you stay in the race, eventually you got to win.
I always say I'm going to live until I die.
Hey,
I'm alive until I die. Until I die. That's why I'm here.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thank you. That's the biggest
and I
for
think
me.
that people sit up and they get, oh, I'm getting old. And oh, I can't do what I used to do. That's only because that's what's in your head.
Yeah.
That's what's in your head. And so now what you have to do is get up and do something. Exercise that body. Go and have tea with somebody. Go and have on Fridays, go have a fish dinner. Come with your girlfriends. Do something. Have a card game.
Do something different. If you're in a lane that you don't want to be in, then you got to do something different in order to get somewhere different.
Exactly.
So you are very well versed in crisis management. And you, at the top of this conversation, talked about the crises that we're in this country right now.
Yes.
And if you can, what is it about crisis management the practice of crisis management that a layperson can do to help to be able to function on a day-to-day basis?
I always say go back to the scene of the accident.
Mhm.
People say, Angela, what do you mean by that? Let's start out by telling the truth. Again, the truth is not on strike. Don't come to me with no lies. Tell me the truth. And then we can resolve your situation. And that means you have to go back and remember how this accident occurred. And as it occurred, you need to deliver it back to me the same way. Now, let's have conversation about that. Do you believe you were right or wrong? If you believe that you were right, then okay, let's talk about that. Now, here's my side of it. As you go to tell me this, I see a lot of wrong in there. Let me point out to you your wrongs. Let's correct your wrongs. And then what we find is we don't find an instant resolve, but we find a resolve that slowly but surely gets there. I don't drink instant coffee. I drink brewed coffee because it takes a time for me to smell it, for the granules to be grated and the cream to be put there and the brown sugar. I like brewed coffee. I want nothing that's instant. And it's the same thing when you start talking about damage control. I've dealt with more damage control in my life than I think than if I've ever been a publicist, because so many people come to me to resolve their problems. And I say, let's go back to the scene of the accident. That wasn't the case of Michael Jackson. That wasn't the case of DMX. It goes on and on and on and on. And we have to talk about, how do we resolve this? How do we deal with this? And it's over several sit downs with me where I'm very open and very candid, and they're very open and very candid with me, and we wind up resolving the problem. And they see they're wrong. And if they don't see they're wrong, let's correct what you don't see to make it right.
You know, I often look at what's happening out there in the world, the macro issues. And in some cases, it is, you know, some crises with a celebrity that needs to be resolved and handled, or it's politics or whatever it is that's going on. And I really believe that a lot of these situations are there and that we can leverage them to help us to understand how to operate in a micro environment, in our micro culture. So as you're describing the ways that you have supported and guided celebrities toward resolving issues that they've gotten into and situations that they've gotten into, what I'm hoping is that those of us who are listening, yes, can honor and respect the fact that Angela Ellerby has worked with some of the biggest names in culture and music and other and creative industries. But what I'm really hoping is that people see that, honor it, respect it, and then figure out how to bring that into your own situation. Because a crisis that's happening within the family is no less important than a crisis that's happening with a celebrity.
Yeah, I speak of that in my book. And that's why I really speak to the lay person in my book. But it's really all the same when you start to talk about the trials and the tribulations of growth and development. We all go through it. And that's why I relate it to those celebrities. They're going through the same things that layperson is going through. And so we have to talk about it. We have to deal with it. Life is no more different for you than it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
People think when you have money, oh, I'm rich, you don't have the same problem. I have the same problems that every other person got. I know how I live. I know what I'm accustomed to. So I have to do 2 steps up. I've never in my life took the escalator or the elevator. I've always taken the steps. I take the steps still to this day at 68. I take steps. I don't ride the elevator or escalator because they get stuck and they put you off on the wrong floor. And that's what happens in the whole realm of social media.
Mm.
That's what happens when people want to be a star and they have not spelled the word backwards. These kids today want instant gratification.
Yeah.
And I say there's a distinct difference in being ambitious than being ambitious. And the latter is what a lot of them are. You want nothing for free. You want to work for it. You want nothing for free. And that's the challenges that we have in the music industry now. These young kids, ladies and gentlemen, believe that they have these great, fantastic bodies, and they can use these bodies to get to where they need to be. No, 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 because every human being on the face of this earth has the same thing that you have. One of the things they don't have that you have is this, is a brain to think with. And then you have to put yourself around people that can elevate you.
That's right.
Somebody that can lift you and elevate you. You can't be, listen, I have a team of people. Why I have a direction in my mind of what I want to do. Oh no, I put it in front of everybody. Yeah, Angela may be the boss, but these are my thinking caps. They tell me what's right, and I keep a lot of young people around me. I ain't stupid. My way of doing things is one way. Their way of making me see what I need to be doing is another thing. So the collaboration of the two makes for impactful impact to where we're at. So yeah, it's like, wow. I just really wish that I can put all of these kids from Newark and from all over, from all of these minority communities, and just sit down and have a talk. Just a talk. Because a lot of times when you talk to them, they do listen. I'm not trying to get a body of 500 people. If I get 50 and I can touch them and motivate them and put them in the right space and time, I'm good. And we as elders got to start doing it. Stop becoming so judgmental about where these kids are. Spend some time with them. And I know that the mannerisms is not there the way we would want them. But once you bring them in and you start to teach them, you got to understand that the mothers is 20 and the grandmothers is 30. Or I say 25, I don't know. So who's teaching who? It's not like back in my day when my grandmother used to say, my nickname is Buki. Buki, I think you need to go out there and find me a switch. And I go, Grandma, for what? Because I want to whoop your behind. And I'm not, listen, that's where I learned, for me, my rights and my wrong, because it was leadership there. There was guidance there. There was care and there was concern. And our young mothers got to step up to the table and begin to do those things that's going to aid and assist their children in the next level of their lives.
Angela, you said our young mothers, and I wonder why you wouldn't say our young mothers and young fathers.
Well, I come, and excuse me for that, I come from a single parent home.
Yeah.
My mother had an 8th grade education, but I thought she had a degree in humanities. She taught me everything in the world that I ever wanted to learn. She was absolutely no joke. She said, anyone that sits at my table will be a contributor. At 10 years old, she said to me, it's time for you to start to contribute something to this house. Do you know where the A&P and the supermarkets are? I said, yes, Mom, I do. She said, after school, you can go there and bag up those bags and they'll give you some money. And every day for at least 2 years, I would go and bag up the bags, and walk to the cars, and the people would give me 50 cents. And then sometimes I had to take them to the house and they would give me $2. And whatever I raised, if it was $100 during that week, my mother took 50. And I had 50. But she didn't let me keep my 50. That was for what I wanted to do. And at the end of it all, she said, now here's all of your money.
Mm.
Go do what you need to do with yourself.
Yeah.
She never gave me, I was not, clearly I was not born with a silver spoon. She made you earn it, and she gave me all the key ingredients of survival. So I only can talk about why I understand it's important for the fathers and the mothers to be a collective. And for those who are not, I speak very much because I had to wind up raising my nephews. My sister, God bless her, she's no longer with us, was a drug addict. So she had 3 boys, and my mother was very much about what you were going to contribute. And we had to contribute our time, our energy, and their education to our lives. My father was very distant from me. So I never really had the fatherhood or the fatherhood guidance that one needed to have. I think it's very important for a man, woman to be supportive of their children. If you make them, then you should take care of them and you should be providers. But I only focused in because of the love and the attention that my mother and my 4 sisters gave to me and my brother. And so I focused very much into that because of how I was raised. But I do think, and excuse me for not including what would be the male image, which is very important, and the female image, and singularly as well as collectively.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to make sure that our conversation bore in mind that some of those other issues that are going on within the family and how a lot, single mothers have done an incredible job of taking care of their children, male and female. And it's not just their job. I was raised by a single father. I had a relationship with my mother. I've always had, was in contact with my mother, and we had a very close relationship, but I was raised by my father. And so I think that that's part of the reason why I am so sensitive to making sure that as I see what's happening in the world with parents, who come together to make a child, and then one of them winds up stuck and burdened. I think it's really important that as part of this reinvention of our culture, that we address that, because that doesn't take away from how hard the work has been and the great job that single mothers have done. But that doesn't make it right.
That's not where it ends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Most respected.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to interject that. I want to, because I know that this audience has questions, so I want to throw some rapid fire questions at you,
Sure.
if that's okay.
That's fine.
What advice do you have for a young creative person stepping into the industry from the perspective of helping them to navigate and also to stay grounded in an industry where there's so much money, so much publicity, so on stage?
I always say to everyone, young and old, spell the word friend. Tell me how many friends you think you have. Now split the syllables in the word friend. A friend will end. You have no friends in this industry. It is a business. Trust is hard to find. And you have to develop that trust in, let's maybe saying this is my associate. I believe in this, in friendships. I believe there's a courtship, there's an engagement, and then there's marriage. You cannot enter into my circle without me knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. I believe that demons come in disguises. Sometimes they come as family, sometimes they come as aunts and uncles, and sometimes it comes to the people that work for you. So before you come and hold my hand and walk down of the beach, the sandy beach, and me thinking everything. Look, I've had more employees in the Empire State Building that's had steps. I get it. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to give you 6 months so that I get to know you and you get to know me. If we don't mesh, I paid you for those 6 months because you worked as a freelance independent and you're out. Now, those who complete the 6 months, now I'm going to go into an engagement with you. But I got time to know who you are. You went through the first step. After we become engaged, I see what your work ethic is like. I see what your follow through is like. I see all of that. Then I'm about to give you that ring. I'm going to give you that ring based on the 2 steps that you went through. But I ain't still trusting you. You got to earn that trust. In my office, everyone that works for me had to come to work, and they had to come to work. The guys had to come in suit and ties. That was back then. And the girls had to wear black or either white. Then they had to have one of those items in the closet. And people would say, why do they have to do that? Well, what if one of my clients call me and they have a TV show to do, a dinner to go? You going to tell me you got to go? Nope, you ain't got to go home. Go in that closet, pull that out, and go do what you need to do. It's called being prepared.
Being prepared. Wow.
Being prepared.
Yeah.
I would simply say to anyone that's coming out here for the first time, is be original. We don't need another Beyonce. We don't need another Cardi B. We don't need another Kendrick Lamar. These people are the originals. Be who you are.
HeraHub Carlsbad is a co-working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HeraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa-inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HeraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit herahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and HeraHub Carlsbad is one of 3 HeraHub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla.
Don't follow the yellow big road. Click your heels 3 times and come out of the land of Oz and be who you are. Go home and be who you are.
Yeah.
That's the important. That's the key that makes you different. Don't try to follow a music slate of tracks or, oh, she did this. No. All of these people stand out because they were different.
Yeah.
And you have to create what's going to make you different. And I want to say something to these representatives. If you see your artist and your representative looking, well, if you see the artist, the representatives have to look good too. Don't come looking like a bag of tricks. Because tricks are for kids. Everybody got to do and look good.
Yeah.
and it sounds like maybe I'm sounding a little braggadocious, but it's real.
No, people need to hear the truth.
People would draw their conclusions on who you are based on what you look like. You can be the most astute, intelligent person, but you look like a vagabond. I always would say to my girls in my office that I would hold up a mirror and they would go, why are you holding that mirror up? Because did you look at yourself before you left the house? You need to go in that bathroom and get it together. Because whoever came in my office, they're going to see you. I'm sitting there trying to tell them the importance of image. And you look like a vagabond. Go in that bathroom and get it together. And before you come out, come down here to my office and let me see if you got it right. Now, I'm sure they thought that I was just this horrible person. But you know the lovely thing about it now? I get so many letters back from my old employees saying, Mr. Ellerby, thank you so much. I tell people that it's important who you bring around you. Who do you have in your life? You know, and then you need to find out what everybody's goals are in life. You know, managers sometimes can be opportunists.
Mm-hmm.
Publicists can sometimes be bigger opportunists.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go down the line, business manager. What is your qualifications to be my manager? How are you going to get me to the next level of life? What's your contacts like? Do you drink liquor? Do you do drugs? And I'm that bold to ask you. Because if you're out 5 days a week, when you going to do something for me? Oh, I'm out mingling and shaking hands. No, there's work to get done. And you'll find these managers getting higher than the sky and they want to go and conduct a meeting.
On your behalf.
On your behalf, which means, because everything is going to circle back to you.
Exactly.
And that's why I was so hard and very firm with my employees. I remember firing somebody because these were the things that I said. This is the girl that said at the front desk, this is not a dating game. If you're looking for a husband or a boyfriend, this is not the place for you to get a husband or a boyfriend. So I had a huge bay window in my office. A client came up. And no one knew that I had a camera where I could see straight through the back of the office. So he gave her the phone number, right? I'm looking down. She's going on her lunch. She got in the limousine. So when she came back from lunch, I said, how was your lunch? She said, Mr. Elby, you never asked me about how my lunch was. I said, no, this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I packed your box already. I told you that this is not a courting. You don't court here. And this is not a dating game. And no boyfriends, no marriage. I'm sending your check in the mail. Goodbye. Because whatever you do, you're representing me.
Yeah. And your clients.
And you're representing my name and my company.
Yeah.
I told you once, as my mother would say, I told you twice. I'm not playing baseball with you. This ain't going to be 3 strikes you out. You're just out. Those are the things that I want young people to begin to understand what's around them. The boy next door is not your manager. What is he going to do? Bring you a joint? Yeah, sit back and smoke and then dream. Just dream. And all the people, I remember working with DMX for about 5 or 6 years. And I would say to him, why does all these people got to go with us? Angela, you this corny man. I ain't corny. I'm looking at the recoupments. He said, what do you mean? I said, all of these 29 people that you bring in, you think the record company is paying for this? He goes, yeah, man. I said, oh, no, buddy. The flights, the ground transportation, the food, everything is taken out of your money. Andrew, you messing with me. You just trying to mess with me. I said, okay. Went to the computer, pulled it up. I said, here's what you made. This is what you got.
Yeah.
And this is what they took out. So they're going to get their money before you get yours. So you have to be in a business frame of mind You don't need all of these people. You don't need hair and makeup. I used to take my clients to, like with Byron Barnes and Johnny Gentry and Oscar. They had classes in how to do their own makeup, how to do their own hair. For special events, we would bring them in. But you're talking about a $2,000, $3,000 a day. And you're going on tour, they're making more money than you. Learn to be self-efficient. I would give them those grounds. And then with all this independent record companies that we have, it's still not free. Before you come out here, you need to save your money. They think if they put it up on Spotify, they put it up, you still got to promote your record.
Yeah.
It still has to go to digital radio, it has to go to mainstream radio, it has to go to your DJ pools, it's got to do it to your press person. Ain't nobody, look, I always tell people, do you know my aunt? And they go, Angela, what are you talking about? They said, I don't know. Who's your aunt? I said, Harriet Tubman. She freed the slaves, and I'm not working for free. Now, if you want to work for free, you go ahead and work for free. I ain't working for free for nobody. And I said, the way you going, you going to be working. You ain't going to be working. You ain't even getting paid. Think about your children. Think about their college. Think about investments.
Yeah.
You know, Nas alone, he's living off of investments. So you have to really look, you know, I think it was Andy Warhol said that everyone was a star for at least 15 minutes, right? But what happens after the 15 minutes? You have to plan it out. You have to have a self-strategy. What you want to do, how you want to do it, what it's going to take. You got to save your money. You got to work. I worked many jobs and still ran double exposure. I'm doing this for 55 years. But every single thing that I would do was not always double exposure related. Because first of all, my mother is 16, wanted $600 a month for rent. She didn't care where you get it from and how you got it. Just on the first of the month, put my money on my table. And I remember I was off 2 days and being late giving her money. So I came running in the house, going into my room, right? I said, where's my bed? Where's my stereo? She had put it all in the backyard. She said, oh, no, you don't live here. You live in the backyard. I go, Mama, are you serious? As a dime and a nickel and a quarter. That's how serious I am.
Wow.
And guess what? I got that money together. I gave it to her $600. She said, it rained last night. You ain't bringing that wet stuff back up in my house. You better go buy you another mattress. Start all over again. These are the things that one needs to know when they're starting to say that I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be an artist. And don't take nobody's money. Because when you take somebody's money, they're going to be on you like hot rice and peas. Understand what your agreements are. If you can't read, tell them to break it down to a 3rd grade reading level so that you would understand what you assigned away. And so many people in this day and time are not reading because they can't read.
Or comprehend.
And they have the managers who can't read and can't comprehend to sign it because the manager is looking for his or her percentage. So they really don't care about you. You got to be in charge of you. You need to know and be able to define what the descriptions will be of everyone that works for you. And you need to sit and have meetings with them. No. Sit and have meetings with each and every step and tell them your expectations, what you're looking for, how you're looking to do it. What's the strategy? What's the movement? But it's going to take money.
Yeah. What do you want that lay person reading before I let you go to take away from this book?
The ability to give people chances, give themselves a chance, give other people a chance, right? to love themselves, to fall romantically in love with themselves, to be able to share their loves with someone else and help out someone. Just help somebody out. Don't be judge and jury over somebody else's life or lifestyle. Lift them, support them.
Yeah.
That's what I would want them to walk away with, before I let you go.
I have enjoyed this conversation immensely. I feel so full, and I thank you for that. I thank you for creating with me a space where people who listen will get healed and understand how important love is. I am walking away with just a smile in my heart about the guidance that you've provided to not just folks in creative fields, but human beings.
Yes.
About taking accountability for their lives and taking accountability for their choices, and understanding that these streets, in air quotes, in a lot of ways, life is love and relationship and community, and it's also business. And in life, smile all day, smile as much as you can, and understand that it is business, and ensure that you can be about your business. And I appreciate you sharing that with this audience. I also appreciate your raw authenticity, how you keep it real, and your what you're saying will resonate with those who understand how to read the contracts and those who know they need to get to understanding how to read the contracts. And I also really appreciate that the generosity that you're sharing about how to start your day and how to be prepared and how to keep your soul and your heart together is wisdom that you're sharing with everyone, with the celebrities that you've worked with, you know, as a PR person, as a publicist, and with that lay person who has nothing to do with that world, but who also needs that sage advice and love from someone who really has an incredibly loving and generous energy. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. I want to wish you so much love and continue to do what you're doing, serving the community, supporting the community with these podcasts. I really, really appreciate you. And I thank you so very much. And may I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Lisa's going to call me and I'm going to say, yes, Lisa, I did it.
I appreciate Lisa so much for, you know, she comes to my Lounging with Lisane's, and, you know, she's just there participating, and
wonderful.
Has also shown herself to be Lisa Georges, who we're talking about.
Yes.
And also has shown herself to be just an incredibly generous spirit as well.
Yeah.
And I appreciate her. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, all my pleasure. God be with you. May be blessed and continue to receive blessings.